Join spiritual feminist and empowerment coach Joni Advent Maher for Trust Your Sacred Feminine Flow. Listen in for intimate conversations about money, transformation, and feminine sovereignty. And now, your host, Joni Advent Maher.
Welcome to Trust Your Sacred Feminine Flow. I'm your host, Joni Advent Maher, spiritual midwife, mystic, and a transformational guide. And I'm excited to share a new series with you this month, which is based in modern-day mysticism. This is our Mystic series, and I'm going to be offering it for the next few months to explore some of the cornerstones of mysticism that we can draw upon, that we can access in our everyday lives to enrich our lives, to amplify what we're here to do, to bring just a deepening of resource into our everyday experience. So this month, we're starting off with devotion, which in my experience is really like a spiritual superfood, or you might think of it as rocket fuel, because devotion, whatever that conjures up for you in your mind, truly brings together, it brings the potency of our passion and the power of commitment. It brings open-heartedness, our full soul presence, and connectedness. And so I am passionate about this subject of devotion. And I recently did a 9-day series called 9 Days of Devotion. And at the end, I'm going to give you an opportunity to explore that for yourself, because it's something that I recorded and kept so that I could share with others. But before we get into that, I just want to talk a little bit about the power of devotion. Devotion really comes out of the feminine aspect of mysticism. And it is the place where our heart and our passion are opening, we're opening ourselves up and giving over. We're offering ourselves to whatever it is that is the object of our devotion. And while, of course, the most traditional sense of devotion is spiritual devotion to the beloved, to God, Goddess, whatever you want to call it, we also can have devotion or devotional practices to certain aspects of the divine. For example, we can have a devotion to the divine feminine. We can have a devotion to specific facets of the feminine. For example, ascended masters like Kuan Yin, or Mother Mary, or Mary Magdalene. We can have a devotion to whatever it is that we're here to be a stand for or be of service to. So we can have a devotion to our sacred work in the world. We can have devotion to a cause, as well as to our partners or our children or to our animals. So why is this so valuable and so important? And frankly, I believe that devotion is overlooked. And like many things that dwell in the realm of the feminine, it is seen as less than or not as valuable. And I believe in part it's because when we are devoted, as I said, there is a certain amount of giving over or surrender that takes place. And it's not a surrender from a place of less than. It's not a surrender from a place of lack. It really comes from our wholeness and our fullness. that we are saying, I am so deeply passionate about this. I am so deeply committed to this, whatever it is, that I am, in a way, humbling myself or offering myself in devotion. And I don't know if you can feel, as I'm discussing this, if you can feel even in your own body where that lands, like that idea of allowing yourself to have your heart be so expanded and so deeply in love that you would give over and relinquish that place of control or that place of pride or ego, that place where you might want to protect your image or even protect your heart. Because when we're coming from devotion, it's kind of like that teenage puppy love in a way, that intensity of fire. As I said, it's like that rocket fuel or that superfood. However, we're not giving it to another teenage boy or girl. We're offering it to really the sacred that dwells within whomever your object of devotion is. So whether it is your dog, your beloved dog, or your partner, or your children, or your service, your act of service, when this touches me very deeply, when you're coming from a place of devotion, it is this offering to the sacred or to the divine that you are responding to in whomever the beloved happens to be. So it is this act of almost communion, this coming together. And I'm here to tell you it is very powerful and very potent. And it can take you to some places that you never would have imagined. And if there is something that you feel committed to or devoted to, whether it's your sacred work in the world or your service, I'm telling you, this is going to amplify and fuel you in ways that just making a simple commitment can't quite do. And while a commitment is important and it will take us far, devotion is like a whole other dimension. It's a whole other dimension of richness and fullness, and I'm going to say abundance that comes into the process. And there is this kind of reciprocity, this giving and receiving that we find when we open to devotion. That it's really at the headwaters of sacred feminine flow, that endless source that is here to nourish us, to feed us, to sustain us, that when we access our point of devotion, our place of devotion, and we connect with that consistently and regularly, I am telling you, there is powerful medicine, and it can infuse. I'm just seeing like this flooding, this floodgates. It can infuse everything. So, as I said, I started this 9 days of devotion on September 9th of this year, 2019. And I had felt called to offer this 8 months ago. I had gotten the call to offer this, and I kept having different visions and versions of how it was meant to be. And they all were much more complicated than I could pull together. But in the few weeks prior, I just got clear, no, I need to do it, and I need to do it simply. I need to do it through an email series. And I am telling you that creating this series took me to a whole other place in terms of both my service, in terms of my connection to my source, and in terms of the vibration that I was moving through life with. A much higher and more expansive vibration that was affecting everything. It was affecting my sense of self, affecting my ability to prosper, just amplifying everything. And I would so love to share that with you. I would so love to see what accessing devotion or your devotion can do for you. Perhaps it will help bring some healing, as it did for me, around desire and just opening to that depth of longing. Perhaps it will help anchor you in what matters most deeply to you. Perhaps it will stoke that fire, an inner fire you have for your work or your own self-care practice. Perhaps that is what you're devoted to or called to be devoted to. So, beloved, I would love to share the opportunity with you to explore your devotion. You can access 9 days of devotion on my website, revolutionaryheart.com. You scroll down the homepage just a bit and you'll see the place to register. And then you will receive 9 daily infusions of devotion. So I just want to go back to devotion as being an aspect of feminine mysticism. The feminine form of mysticism is about heart. It is about that heart of desire. It is about what we care deeply about. It brings in our emotions. We feel it in our body. It's an integrating and powerful force that can nourish all facets of our life. So, beloved, again, you can join me in 9 days of devotion at revolutionaryheart.com. And until next time, always trust what your wise heart knows.
Thanks for listening to Trust Your Sacred Feminine Flow with Joni Advent Maher. If you like what you heard, the best compliment you can give us is to share our podcast with a friend and subscribe, rate, and review our podcast at iTunes.